Hi, I'm Dr. John Van Epp, and this is Dr. Morgan Cutlip, and welcome to the Relationship Goals Marriage Series, US. We are so excited to see how God will impact your marriage through this series.
You know, there are few things in your life more important than your relationships. Your relationship with God, with your partner, with your kids, and with those in your church and those in the world.
You know, in fact, Jesus summarized all of the law and prophets in just two relationships. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So let us begin with telling you a little bit about our relationship. So for full disclosure, this is my daughter.
Yes, and I've been working with you basically since I was in grade school. And it really all started when a couple times a year when I was around 6 or 7, you would take me on a special day with Dad to your PhD classes. And I think pretty much I sat there and ate candy and pretended to take notes, but
That's all I was doing too.
But I guess, something took because it became a passion and a calling for me as I pursued my master's and my PhD work focused on healthy relationships. In my clinical work, I found myself working with so many clients who were hungry for clear guidance and direction in the area of relationships, and that just further confirmed for me that I was following the right path.
Absolutely. So a little bit about my background. I started my career by going to seminary while planting a non-denominational church in Ohio in the early 1980s. As a pastor, I was finding myself frequently in a position of counseling hurting couples, which really led me down a path of pursuing a master's and PhD in counseling psychology. The more I counseled couples struggling with relationships, and the more I studied the research about close relationships, I began to see some very clear patterns develop between people who thrived in relationships versus those people who perpetually struggled. And a primary difference was that many couples did not have a clear plan for how to actively run their relationships. However, they did have a plan for running almost every other area of their relationship and their marriage, their finances, their work schedules, the activities of their kids, the retirement, but their relationship, other than maybe a date night, no clear plan. So I organized all that research and theory about major relationship bonds into a very practical and interactive model that we're going to be sharing with you all through this series. I figured that if couples could visualize exactly what is happening in their relationship, then they would be better able to actively run their relationship. Our hope for you is that once you understand how this model describes what's going on in your relationship, you will see the tremendous ways that it can empower you to better run your relationship. So let us introduce this model and really how you can use it.
So this model that you developed is called the Relationship Attachment Model, or RAM for short. And it's made up of 5 connections, or you can call them bonds, that occur in your relationship. And these bonds work together to contribute your overall feeling of closeness. So in other words, your relationship is made up of 5 specific connections. As we briefly explain them, you'll see that all 5 of these relationship bonds are a major source of your feelings of closeness and that they naturally fluctuate. So the first connection or bond is how you know each other. This has to do with the ways that you talk together, what you share with each other, how you keep up to speed on what's going on in each other's lives. Now, this bond obviously contributes to your feelings of closeness, but there are times when you have less time to talk and your level of no drops. During those times, you can feel more distant, like 2 ships passing in the night. But when you find time to catch up, then your feelings of closeness will then also increase.
The second major bond in your relationship is trust. This too makes you feel very secure, confident, safe, and is a major contributor to how you feel close. So usually we think of the big ticket items of trust, but there's lots of small trust issues in a marriage, like, can I trust you to do the dishes, or put them in the dishwasher, or fill the car up with gas, or listen to me when I'm upset and I need to talk. To define trust more specifically, trust is a feeling of confidence that actually comes from what you think of your spouse. So see if this makes sense. When you're focusing on some ways that your partner has not fulfilled your expectations, then you can slip into a pretty bad trust attitude. On the RAM, that would be represented by your trust level dropping a little bit. And I'm sure that even when that happens, your feeling of closeness changes a little as well. But then when you shift your focus, remember all of the wonderful qualities of your spouse, your attitude of trust starts coming back up. So this focusing, this thinking about your partner, produces feelings of confidence, or what we call trust. And it's coming from what we're calling this trust picture.
So the next major bond in your marriage relationship is how you are able to rely on each other. This is more your trust in action. So if trust is about what you believe or think of your spouse, then rely is more about how you interact or take care of your spouse. You rely on your spouse to meet your needs, to help you take care of the kids, take care of the house, or even just work together. And when your spouse goes out of their way to do something really meaningful for you, your reliance goes up and you feel a lot closer. But there are those times when your partner slips up and isn't there for you in the ways you expected or even the ways that you wanted. And at those times, your level of rely will drop.
So the fourth bond is your commitment. And when you think of commitment, there are levels of commitment tucked in the label we give our relationships. Like if we say, this is an acquaintance, or we're just friends, or we're going together exclusive, or we're engaged, or even we're married, which is the highest level of commitment. So commitment seems to be embedded in that label, but it's really beyond just a label. Commitment has to do with how determined you are to persevere through the tough times, how invested you are in your relationship, how much of a priority you make your relationship. There is this practical side of commitment that says, listen, I am really putting you first. I am committed to you, and I'm making sure that you know that. So when you get out of balance and make other commitments, for example, more of a priority than your marriage relationship, it would be as if the commitment in your marriage starts to drop on that practical side. But then when you start to put your relationship higher, that commitment level also goes up.
Yeah. So the fifth relationship bond is what we call touch. And touch can refer to non-sexual affection as well as sexual interactions. And so your sexual relationship, like each of the other four relationship bonds, can create intense feelings of closeness and connection in your relationships. And also like the other four, your sexual relationship fluctuates, altering the feelings of closeness.
Now, what I found is that there were volumes, like entire library sections, on each one of these 5 areas, just on their own, because there are major connections or bonds in your relationship. But when you put them all together, you actually have a comprehensive picture of what is going on in your relationship. And it helps you to understand kind of the profile of where you are. I want to suggest that this model is a little bit like a GPS system. It can help you locate exactly where you are in your relationship and then help you to map out what you need to do to get where you want to be. Hey, our conversations have dropped a little bit. We've been busy. Our no is lacking. So listen, let's sit down. Let's have some time together and let's catch up on the no. Or, you've been really busy. You've got this promotion going on and we haven't been able to meet each other's needs, or the kids have been really keeping us busy and preoccupied. So all of a sudden, how we rely on taking care of each other, being there for each other, meeting each other's needs has actually dropped a little bit. What do we need to do? Let's locate where we are, determine what we need to do to map out to bring these levels back up.
You could actually just hang that mini RAM right on the fridge, so it's a constant gauge for where you are and where you need to go. So if you get up in the morning and the no is a little low, you understand what you need to do. And if the trust is kind of looking a little bit shaky, you got to get to work.
And if your touch is actually missing, then you definitely need to have a conversation. The reality is, relationships can be so confusing and unclear, and the RAM helps you to define what actually is happening in the relationship. And what you can define, you can realign.